Hi, James. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi guys. Thanks, David. It's good to be on the show with you.
Yes. Yeah. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey to founding the Ion Mobility?
Sure. So I'm CEO of iMobility, a tech automotive company with teams across Singapore, Shenzhen, and Jakarta.
Mhm.
I founded the company at the end of 2019 after taking a year to transition out of my previous challenge, where I built up and scaled an institution to peer credit and lending platform from ground zero. It was initially in Indonesia and later in Vietnam and India. I'm 40 years old. I'm a married father to my eldest boy and two younger girls with more than 15 years of experience in tech. I grew up in Singapore as a geeky, nerdy introvert, having spent most of my almost 3 years in the military as a combat medic in an armored battalion before leaving for the US to earn my electrical and computer engineering degree and master's from CMU and Stanford. I returned from the US in 2006 to serve my Singapore government scholarship bond. Got to know Joy Ito later on, who helped me bust out of my scholarship contract in 2009. We later started a seed tech venture fund called Neoteny Labs that actively invested between 2010 and 2012. The fund actually did very well after 10 years, returning more than 5 times capital, and we still hold more than 6 times capital, right? So it's done well. But I didn't want to move with Joey to Boston, and very much preferred to stay vested in the ascending Asia Pacific meta. So I founded Silicon Straits in 2013 as my personal beta works. And for the next 6+ years before starting Ion, I got involved in a slew of investing, venture building, and venture acceleration opportunities in software, robotics, and fintech industries. So this was across Southeast Asia with my time at Silicon Straits, Grey Orange, and WeCash. I started Ion Mobility because I saw a huge opportunity to lead Southeast Asia's upcoming and inevitable two-wheeler roadworthy motorbike transition from petrol to electric as a hyper-regional player competing with the obvious giants from China and Japan. So I coined these two taglines years ago to often describe my work at Silicon Straits. The first being investing in the convergence of design, hardware, and software, and the second being operating at the intersection of ideas, talent, and capital. These two taglines have come to define my superpowers as an operator, and starting and running Ion Mobility really lets me live and breathe these two taglines for real. Right? When I was growing up, the happiest days of my teenager life was when I was in secondary school and junior college, and we had this computer science club back then, where I honed my geekiness and nerdiness, picking up programming, electronics, robotics, and just hanging out with fellow geek nerds in lieu of chasing skirts. So being an operator at Ion Mobility decades later really felt like being in my computer science club again, right? In the real business world writ large. Looking back at those years, I think 2009, 10, 2013, the start of 2017, at the end of 2019, when I started my Ion Mobility, right? Those were key pivotal years as a transition. They marked the major transitions I went through in my more than 15 years at work, having sat across all three sides of the table, first as a public servant, focused on tech industry development, then later as a venture capitalist and angel investor, and in recent years, much more as a serial entrepreneur. So you could say, even if I started work late in life as a Singaporean, we have to pay the Singapore tax, working in military service, and only joining the workforce at the age of 26. But I certainly have been trying hard to make up for lost time, right? So I believe all the past hats I wore have prepared me for the greatest challenge in my life at Ion Mobility, to give us a good shot at realizing our vision to become Southeast Asia's top technology company and lead our transition towards a low carbon economy and electric mobility and energy storage at some point, right, down the road for consumers and businesses in Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You have gone through so many different professions in your life, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've had to. I didn't quite have a choice at the very beginning. I had to come back and serve the country, and I think that was also important in my journey. I'm pretty much an accidental entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
I could no longer find interesting things to do, and I didn't want to stay in investing because to me, I felt like investing was not quick enough for me. It just didn't give me that visceral, direct opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have a very interesting background. So what is the difference? How different do you feel about the entrepreneur job now from the previous investor job?
Well, I don't think I've ever fully transitioned between the two.
Mm-hmm.
The entrepreneur, I think, was always in me. And I picked up venture investing and angel investing over the years. Right? I always swapped between hats when looking at
Yes.
things from different perspectives. And the years really went by so quickly on hindsight. So everything, the lines are all just blurred, right? So I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
But seriously speaking, I think there's a lot more dimensionality to a life as an entrepreneur than as an investor.
Right.
As an individual, I want to pursue the truth, and I really find that I can do that better in as an entrepreneur than as an investor.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to roll up my sleeves and get to the heart of the problem, right? And
Yes.
well, as a VC, you're really juggling capital allocation, portfolio construction, post-investment management, making our picks, and structuring the exits, right? So I think
Right.
it must have been. It really. It's not so. Obvious, but and a lot of people always ask me like, so why do the difficult thing? Why not just spread your bets
Right.
around, right?
Right.
But to me, it's boring. It's not
Right.
as hands-on.
I
It's
agree
more
on that
boring.
part. I agree on that part, but I can imagine. I have been the investment finance side all the time, many decades. I can imagine it is more exciting, but very hard for guy who from another side to convert and get adapted to the other side, right? As entrepreneur.
Correct.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
mm,
So what problem are you solving now?
Um, I think there are several, but if I were to really zoom in on them, I think the first one would be achieving product market fit as a hardware first tech company during COVID times, right? Across three offices. We've done well, I think, with focus groups and design workshops remotely in light of the ongoing pandemic, but you never know, right? We're doing a bit of work to optimize what we've done so far. We need to shrink the width of the pack. We need to shrink the bike. We need to add battery swap and add more functionality, and to buy more time for the R&D results. Right. In terms of hiring, I think it's also difficult. We have to hire well during the pandemic in a region which does not have this kind of industry prior. As an end-to-end company with talent from industrial design all the way to mechanical engineers, electrical, firmware, embedded software engineers, to even procurement, supply chain, production people, right? So I think as an OEM company looking to go direct to market, we really need to have this diverse full stack team, which is really difficult to put together and run well. So and so that's just putting it together to where we are today, and continuing this hiring, I think will be challenging. And last but not least, I think managing well, right? So the Tower of Babel problem is very real. We've got a good mix of nationalities and various levels of English, or even Bahasa of Chinese, right? Competencies
Right.
across the company, right? So you really find it hard to bridge the communication, and
Yes.
when you have limited travel, the FaceTime. So it's not
Yes.
easy.
Yes. When I look at your business model, in fact, on high level, I thought it's maybe guys from the conventional, traditional banking sector may think that, oh, this is hire purchase financing, finance lease, right? They may
Mm,
think that way, but I think you put together business model and value propositioning in a very interesting way to serve their
mhm.
clients. So, can you tell us what is your business model? How do you describe your value propositioning to your customer?
Sure. So maybe I'll start with the business model first, right?
Mm,
That's more straightforward. So in short, you're really looking at optimizing the gross profit per vehicle. That's more traditional, right? You have the total revenue across the asset lifespan, comprising of hardware and services revenue, and then you subtract away the cost of goods sold, subtract away your customer acquisition costs, subtract away your cost of funds for leveraging the fleet, right? The consumer fleet, so to speak. And then you take away the non-performing loans where your bikes just go missing and you can't recover them despite the technology in place. And then you take away the warranty and maintenance expense. So in optimizing this, our job is to really tune this over time to increase revenue reasonably while decreasing sensibly costs through increased scale and technological innovation. And I think at some point, it's premature for now in our region especially, but I believe in time to come, we'll be able to add to our balance sheet or P&L in the form of some kind of environmental credits, right? Be it carbon credits or offsets or other interesting levers like reselling renewable energy certificates, right? With energy every kilometer of distance ridden. So that's the business model side of it. I think the customer value proposition, right? So last night I actually just rewatched The Matrix in preparing for the Matrix 4
Yeah.
Resurrections. So yeah, so I really want to just offer that option to customers as a marketeer. You put on the hat and
Yes.
you say, look, are you taking the red pill or the blue pill? You can forget about it and go back to gasoline, and you have enough gasoline for you for the next decades to come, probably in your lifetime. But when we talk to our initial set of customers in Indonesia, between the age of 21 to 40, of which 80-90% are men, right? In our segment that we're going after, who are presently riding or already looking to upgrade to more premium mass market combustion motorcycles like the VR or the PCX from Honda or the Yamaha NMAX, right? Who are trendsetters or trailblazers and have become frustrated with the incremental technological advancements that these gasoline incumbents have been doling out slowly over the years, right? They don't give you the most necessary, most modern technology, right? They're not incentivized to. So when they're frustrated with that, and when the customers are also potentially and more environmentally aware than the average consumer, want to start doing their part for at least urban air pollution and sustainable economic development, right? By switching to the fast-growing EV lifestyle, our brand that can embody their values and principles. So when they don't quite know where the puck will be, but when we offer them an industry-leading after-sales customer excellence program that takes care of their range anxiety, upgrades, maintenance, warranty, insurance, buybacks, and more, right? We want to really change the way our customers think about buying and owning an EV motorcycle, so as to convince more of their friends to join them in leaving their combustion motorcycles firmly behind. And obviously, the final, most sensible, most important proposition, which is superior total cost of ownership to owning and riding the Ion Mobius, right? That would definitely be what they would incur if they have been taken the blue pill and stuck with the ICE combustion motorcycles instead. So when you look at the business model on one side and you have the customer proposition on the other side,
Yes.
you can imagine the entire range of what we can play with in order to
Yes.
delight customers.
So
Yeah.
in terms of customer, I understand now how you built your business model, but from the customer point of view, how do you think they perceive your product offering, service offering, in simple terms?
Yeah. So I think they would not feel in terms of dollars and cents as if there was significant difference at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point is to get them on board and be satisfied and delighted, rather than saying, "Oh, you're significantly more expensive than than a gasoline combustion car." It's inevitable; they would be slightly more expensive given our lack of scale in the beginning, and given the fact that you're paying for and carrying the batteries around sooner, right, compared to an empty petrol tank. But having said that, I think with the cost of technology dropping, with the cost getting to scale, we believe that at the very beginning we'll be able to offer a very competitive price point, such that to them the monthly expense feels,
Yes.
in
Yes.
mind, almost the same.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think
Yes.
you get them on board and say, "Wow, this is actually not that bad," right?
Yeah.
And I enjoy the ride and enjoy the new customer experience. That's
Yes.
the real aim.
Got you.
Yeah.
So they are focused on use and convenience rather than financing or purchase or something, right?
It's really this impersonal way in which you buy a gas motorbike today. You
Right.
go to a dealer and you don't really care as much because you've heard from your friend already what you're buying, what
Right.
you're going to buy. And then you go to the shop, and then several salesmen come to you because they have incentives from different financing companies. And they all try and sell you different packages when you're really looking for that one bike you want to buy. So just simplifying the entire experience, redefining and creating new verbs and adjectives, I think, for the entire journey, I think it's important
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
that's a great approach. Yeah, customer people don't really care about what you put together, what kind of ingredient you put together into a dishes or
The total
plate, right?
package,
Yeah, they want
total
to enjoy.
package. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to enjoy the nice food and the nice plating, right?
Yes. And go to a nice place and have a nice
Yes,
clothes
yes,
on when you're doing it, right? The whole point of it.
yes.
Yeah.
Customer experience, right?
That's right.
You are so right on that point. Yeah. So actually, I saw that video of some of your event where the Minister of the Manpower in Singapore, he made a very exceptional speech to encourage and support your business, right? So I'm so impressed. I mean, government official in Singapore is so supportive as compared to the other Asian like Japan, Korea, China. They are invisible people. Okay, so in terms of my question is, how big is your market? How big? I mean, you plan to achieve? I mean, grow in your market, and then on the future of a mobility company. And in terms of milestone, what have you achieved so far?
So obviously Singapore is a tiny market. We're not as interested in the Singapore market to begin with, which is probably going to make some of the government officials sad in that sense, or on one side of it. They understand, obviously. The market that's more enticing is just near us, right? Indonesia. It's the third largest motorcycle market in the world,
Right.
behind India and China.
Right.
With over 112 million motorcycle population today, and pre-pandemic annual sales for new gas bikes of about 6.5 million. This year, we're still seeing more than 5 million motorcycles sold, right? New. And when you compare it, I mean, I don't have, they're not that many. It's not as transparent as sales numbers marketplace, but if you compare to, say, Taiwan, right, I think that's a very good topic to compare, where Gogoro, who's a very respectable company, who's had much more time ahead of us, and doing this out of Taiwan, right, where you have 600,000 motorbikes sold this year, probably. And you have a 2.35 billion D-SPAC coming up for Gogoro valuation against a Taiwan market of 23.5 million. And if you compare the market size differences, I mean, I haven't seen the prospectus, but I don't believe they have significant revenue outside of Taiwan, right? So my assumption is, and if you compare the population differences, you're looking at more than 10 times increase in population size. And saturation point is nowhere close to Taiwan in terms of motorcycle per capita, per 1,000 households, right, in ownership. And even if you factor in more intense competition in the Indonesian market in the next 5 to 10 years, because it's such a lucrative market compared to Taiwan, right, relatively speaking, I still believe that we as a company can hit an enterprise value in the future of about 5 to 8 billion, maybe even $10 billion US, right, on the back of just the EV motorcycle market business. And I haven't talked about the energy storage opportunity. I think when you look at the valuation side, that's one metric. When you look at the market number of vehicles per year and the market share that we can penetrate, I mean, 1% first marker, 3%, 10% next. I think you're looking at market share milestones that we want to eke out and having more models and all of that. So I think the potential is huge. But really, when you compare the milestones that we've gotten so far, I mean,
company was founded 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago, and we started our Mobius product development from scratch.
Only 2 years.
1.5 years ago, right? We have raised only 6.8 million so far, whereas Gogoro has raised 480 million. So I think very different metrics. I would say that's why when you ask me for milestones, I don't feel like there's enough to talk about. It's so early. We took longer to close the seed round because we had to delay and do some cleanup, and it took us until October this year to finish the paperwork, right? But even then, I think that's why you see all the stuff all kind of combined together, right? Second December unveiling. So it's been a crazy end of year for us. But really, a lot of work remains ahead, and I don't want to get carried away prematurely with the size of the market. Let's just say that it's big, and let's just say that we believe that we have a very good chance of going after the market as a savvy company playing in this space, right? I mean, you think about motorcycle styles and cultures. Southeast Asia has a very different motorcycle behavior and preferences compared to Taiwan or China, India, and even China. I mean, you have a bicycle lane market. You no longer have a significant motorcycle market. It's the villages and the tertiary cities that are still buying, right? Motorcycles from Chongqing. So it's very nuanced, and I think we will discover interesting increases in multiples, right? Whether you're comparing market or valuation, when you build on the back of a bigger market, which has much less to start with in the first place.
Yes. It sounds like you have a huge white spaces you have to cover in the future going forward, right?
Not enough money though. Still early. Not enough money raised.
But it's 1.5 years old, so you still the toddler, you have a lot of supporter going forward, I believe.
I think people are always wondering why bother. I mean, there's all these obvious companies that seem to have gotten there sooner,
Mhm.
but I really feel that Southeast Asia in itself is already a very fragmented market, right? And then Southeast Asia as a motorcycle market is very different as well. So when you combine these two together, and when you combine the fact that you really have to be hyper regional, hyper local to succeed, I think
Yes.
we will build off the back of these initial set of cards that we have to
Yes.
get there.
I believe you have right business model for right market, right places at right timing. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So what is the biggest challenges in scaling your business, taking it to the next level?
Mm,
Money?
I- yeah, I think as I said, I think hardware is really hard. I mean, if we care about our customers and our business, you're gonna build some hardware, right? But that's really expensive and hard. If you compare, I mentioned for Google 480 million over time, over more than 10 years, right? Aether Energy, which has raised more than 100 million. Ola Electric, I mean, in India, they have raised more than 250 million. And even the execution is found wanting by some people, right? So I expect our next raise to be in the 25 to 30 million range, and after we've digested some more of it, to go further and maybe raise 100 million more to build out the rest of the vision. I think with that should be enough for Southeast Asia. I know how to run leaner, faster, with better, hopefully. And while South Singapore has developed a reputation as an innovation hub, and Southeast
Yes.
Asia tech market has really blossomed in recent 5-10 years, we're still not known as a region for producing hard tech funding rounds and successful companies in the space. So I would say that we're really trailblazing in every aspect, and we'll need all the support we can get to catch up with the giants, so that we will be a credible player when they all enter, right? All the established
Yes.
companies, which appear to have this huge head start over us, right? Albeit not as focused in our region as we are. I think the other challenge, talent. I think always as a
Yes.
CEO, I'm a chief people person, right? Chief everything officer, chief people person. I think talent will take time to attract and train from within. Having said that, I think only can we continue to execute on our plans with good talent can we convince the right investors to continue joining us, the right team members to continue joining us, right? So that we can spark off this virtuous cycle of growth and development that every successful company before us has gone through, regardless of market sector or type. So these two, I think, are the most challenging for me. Keeps me up at night. I'm not worried about the technology or the integration or the service execution. To me, these are problems that you can solve, right? The hard part is trying to find the right talent in a region without such an automotive OEM presence as strong as, say, Japan, China, Europe, US, and without such a strong ecosystem of a supply chain like Taiwan, even, right? That I think has enabled Gogoro to go to market relatively quickly, which is also why we've been forced from the very beginning to have offices across in China, Jakarta, and Singapore from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you achieved the milestone as a plan, as based on your business model, step by step with the right people. Money will chase you. Investor will chase you.
I
Right.
think so. I
Yeah.
think so. And I don't think it's always purely about, oh, everything has to be the metaverse bet now, right? Because it's
Right.
such an exciting hot space. I still think there's significant value in the hard tech stuff that we can actually touch and feel, right? I mean, I came from a software background. I'm an ECE guy, right? So for me to go full cycle and go back to hardware, even though I've got the hardware background as well, to me, it really speaks volumes, right? I really want to, for the next 10, 20 years. For my last company, I was going to say, right, David, for my last company, I really want to build a company, a country company, where I can really be at the hub and transportation transformation in this part of the world, right? And have a seat at the table, because you're really talking about more than transportation. It's also about the downstream energy, the upstream energy, and how that's going to change, and how distribution of the energy to what kind of tools and devices to change economic development and societal transformation is going to be critical. And I hope that we can do our part. I hope that we can hit the milestones coming up, so that we can continue to grow on and execute our plans. I mean, December is meant to be slow, but I've already attracted interest and gotten investors and partners visiting us, even though it's meant to be a slow month. I hope that we can expand, launch our brand in Indonesia by first half next year, and deliver our first customers by second half next year. There's still a fair amount of work left to produce and deliver quality products, instead of people complaining that's not working, right? In 2 to 3 years time, 2 years time, probably within 2 years, I hope we can sell our first 10, 20, X thousands, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 have active vehicles on the road, right? In this approximate time frame.
What is your plan for next year and your long-term vision?
I'm starting to put together our next equity raise that I mentioned earlier, 25, 30 million US. I've been hosting conversations with investors and partners, even though this month was meant to be a slow month. We expect to, I expect that we will launch our brand in Indonesia by the first half of next year. And I hope that we can produce and deliver by second half of next year, right? Our first batch. It's quite a bit of work left for us to go from unveiling to production ready, and then getting into the hands of customers. I think there's a lot of work left ahead of us. I hope we can achieve our first X 10,000, number of active EV motorcycles on the road per month by 2023, right? I think we want to sell a good number of it in such a big market and get to scale quickly. I think the company needs to go through its growing up days just as much as the product needs to mature. The customers need to get used to our brand, and we need to bind it all together, like I described earlier. In the long term, I really hope that we can, with our products, our EV motorcycles, and in the future, our energy storage products and services ecosystem can come together to be a critical part of this region's transportation sector transformation. And this is really more than just transportation transformation. You're really looking at the upstream energy transformation, the conversations that are ongoing right now, and even further upstream green credits or offsets or credits of some sort. I hope that in the next 5 to 10 year mark, we as a company will have the chance to take a bite at creating other forms of electric mobility that will further revolutionize and transform our societies and economies across Southeast Asia in time to come. Right. So I think for me, I hope this is my last company, because it's so damn tiring to be an operating CEO, trying to do everything yourself and work with your team. And I hope to make my family proud, make my kids proud, especially because they are the reason that I'm working so hard for. Because to a certain, at the end of the day, I don't have a religion, but I'm relatively, self-aware about this topic. And I do believe that all I leave behind is my legacy of what I've done and my inspiration, my family. Right? So in that sense, when I leave behind this, I hope that I can inspire them to achieve greatness the way I've tried, even if it's not quite yet known where we will lie at the end of the day.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time to introduce the ambitious entrepreneur journey to our audience and the platform.
Thank you, David. It's really fun talking.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Merry Christmas in belated, and have a Happy New Year.
You too. Happy New Year.